stage left.
So yeah, just to give everyone, we are married, we are a couple, but we're also a couple on stage. And we're going to do something a little bit different tonight that we've been wanting to do for a really long time.
Yeah, so we have this idea for a show that in my head I call it mixed doubles. So what we're going to do is actually tell each other's stories. So we've each picked stories that we like in the other's performance and decided to take a swing at it. Because we were looking for something that had thematic elements to it. We realized that we were both children. So that's good. So we have two stories for you. Anoush will be telling a story that I write in the form, and I will be telling a story that Anoush wrote. Got it?
Yeah.
You're up, yeah?
Yeah.
Anoush, you're done.
So I'm going to tell you a story about basketball and me. So I was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as south as you get before you hit water. Firstborn son, born into a family of athletes. My father was a state champion platform diver. My mom played power forward on her high school basketball team. My brother played basketball until he blew his knee out, and I was what you would describe as an inside child. I would much rather read about the history of the sport than play it. And in elementary school, I was in the gifted and talented program when I was those things. And in Louisiana, where I grew up, my school wouldn't have that same program each year. So what ended up happening was that I'd have to move to different schools each year with my classmates. So it was like this little dork bubble floating around East Baton Rouge Parish School District each year until 6th grade, the best time in any child's life. When my parents, who in the words of my mother, wanted everything for me that we never had, whether you like it or not, plucked me out of the public school program and put me into private school, where I was now the attendee of the Louisiana State University Lab School, right on LSU's campus, right across the street from the Union. Beautiful, ivy-covered institution, and I was miserable because I'd been taken away from my clutch of dorks and put in with all the rich kids. And one of the bullies I had to deal with was the son of my dad's boss. So needless to say, that really flourished, and I didn't really make a lot of friends. So my mom thought it was time to try something a little bit different. So she signed me up for the basketball team and placed such a high value on the fact that all I needed was the heart of a champion. So to paint a picture, at the time, I was about 4'11" and about 95 pounds. I was not a big kid. And this was the time where you were given your place on the team based on your size, fortunately, and not your ability. So basically you had your big kids were your center, normals were your forwards, and then short guys were like your guard and your point guard. So you had like guard and point guard positions. And I was made a point guard, the scoring position. So I took my big basketball shorts that were made for a child much larger than me, and my tank top that was also made for a child much larger than me, and started to practice and would drill myself on the ready position, which appeared to me the best part of my game. The ready position is where you crouch down and throw your arms up in the air and get ready for basketball. And so every day, I'd come home from school, ready position, get a sandwich. Or right before bed, ready position, brush my teeth. Turns out I was great at the ready position. But everything I knew about basketball was so small that it would probably fit into a thimble and still have room for my thumb. Throughout the entire season, when we were playing teams from my same school, I never scored once. The biggest contribution I made to the game was a technical foul. So, last game of the season, coach brings us in. We're in the huddle. Coach looks at me, coach looks at the team and says, any one of you get that ball, McElwee, run to the basket. I am psyched. So there'll be a little tussle on one side of the court. I'll run all the way to the other side by the basket. And you know, like ready position, they'll throw me the ball and I shoot and I miss. And then I'd shoot and I miss again. And then I'd shoot. And then eventually the other two teams would like slowly make their way to the other side of the court, and this happened throughout the whole game. So, closing minutes of the game, my team's cheering for me, the other team's cheering for me, the whole court is cheering for me, except for my mom, who's crying. I did not score that game. A month later, we moved to Florida. Now, I'm not going to say those two events were related. But I'm just merely sharing that one happened directly after the other. So Florida is a whole different ballgame. I'm a little older at this point. I'm in the 7th grade. Girls are starting to be a little more interesting. And I moved from the big city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to the small town of Punta Gorda, Florida. So I'm like some kind of like city boy now. I'm getting putting myself out there a little bit more, feeling a little more confident. Till one day, when I go home, and my mom is doing laundry in the garage, and I go up to her and say, "Mom, I'm gonna go out for basketball." And she slowly turns to me, white-faced, clutching imaginary pearls, and says, "Baby, why?" and it was in that moment when I first surprised my mother as a human being and not my mom, a person who made a mistake that followed her across state lines. Who instilled in me the idea that all that mattered was to have the heart of a champion, when in reality, a heart of a champion is good, but the arms and legs of a champion is a little bit better. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Okay. You'll know it. You'll know it when it happens. So, I was in 4th grade. And when you're a 4th grader at Holy Martyrs Armenian Day School, your life changes in a profound way. It's not simply that you're an upperclassman, it's that your future, your fate, is held in the hands of one woman, a teacher named Nadia Ishkuzar. Nadia Ishkuzar taught 4th, 5th, and 6th grade at Holy Martyrs. She was the epitome, the apotheosis of an Armenian teacher. She had an endless supply of high heels. She had a microscopic dog named Bijou. She wore what appeared to be all of her jewelry. So not only was she an imperious presence, she was also in charge of the drama program at Holy Martyrs. So every year they would do a show, and we would be in the show, and she would direct, write, and cast the show. She was brassy, she was moody, she was not good with sensitive kids. I was different than a lot of my classmates, and part of that was due to the fact that my mother is American. Now, my parents are Armenian. My mother was born in the Bronx and works in advertising. My father was born in Lebanon and works in suffering. If my mother is the Rolling Stones, then my father is John Lennon only. So fitting in wasn't really in the cards for me from the beginning. But the word on the street is this year's show is going to be a word-for-word translation of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Not your typical Armenian musical where the cheerleaders all go, "Hey, hey, hey." This is a show that you can bring people to. This is a show that you can bring normal people to. I was so excited. The day came around where Nadia Ishkuzar was handing out the parts, and we were all sitting in the classroom, and I'm sitting in my chair attached to the desk chair. Nadia starts handing out the parts. And the first one to go is Belle, Diana Chalakian. Sure. The next one to go is the sexy duster, played by Ani Zarabian. Makes sense. The third girl who swoons after Gaston was played by Lily Chichichian, which totally makes sense. And part was being given away. All the way down through the entire cast until Nadia Ishkuzar came to me. She said, "Anoush, I have a very funny part for you." And I'm thinking to myself, what's left? Like, I have no idea. And so she says, you're going to play a, and she couldn't find the words. She couldn't figure out what it was she was trying to say. She just kept flapping her arms in front of her chest like this. And so there's a kid in the back of the class who says closet. And another kid says wardrobe. And then a third kid says bureau. And Nadia Ishguzar says yes to all of them. So now I'm racking my brain. I don't know that there is a closet, bureau, wardrobe in Beauty and the Beast. But there is. Because when Belle, Diana Chawakian, first comes to the castle, she needs something to bump into. That will be me. So I am now going to be playing an inconsequential piece of furniture in our production of Beauty and the Beast. And I'm racking my brain thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to wear? Am I going to have to go around to everyone explaining to them what I am? How dare this woman cast me in a role I've already been playing for my entire life? I went home in tears. I went to my mom, told her that I would be playing a closet / bureau / wardrobe. And her reaction was a very Sheena Davis in Beetlejuice way. Like her eyes narrowed as if to say, you won't get her. So I didn't know what my mom was going to do, but I knew that I was in good hands. Started to rehearse. Ahaku katsetsora tsero nabe anaudira tsero Marie, Baneseva, Azabaye! I came home, and there was a giant UPS box on our dining room table, painted white with giant arm holes cut on either side. Gaston, make these faces, but boy, boss face, you boss me so serious, so hero say. The next day I came home, it was painted white and covered with vines and flowers and wrapping the entire thing. And there was a separate headpiece that had art all over the top of it. And I had realized that this was my costume. And that my mother had brought out the most deadly weapon that an advertiser can bring to bear. Package design. Tattoo carefully. The show was fun. It was fun. Everything was fun. I said my one line, sang with the chorus. I realized that the part that I liked the best was carrying that costume around. Like I liked putting it on because it was so big and having the doors opened in the front. And I liked taking it off at the end of the show, being all hot and sweaty because I had worked hard. And my mom came, and my dad came, and some perplexed American friends came. And I got to tell them, I got to thank them for coming and tell them, hey, look, let's just get out of here. And that was a show. When I watched that movie, and that closet, bureau, wardrobe, she's a fighter. And my mom's a fighter. And I'm my mother's daughter. And if anyone is going to try and put me in a box, it's going to be one that I made with my own two hands. Be our guest.